Hello and welcome to a new vlog and ship video. Today we're taking a look at the last 2 days on board of the Aurora of P&O Cruises. We're enjoying a day at sea, which is quite stormy, and then we're heading back to Southampton. Due to the storm, we're sailing past Southampton, turn around behind the storm, and then we're following the storm back to Southampton. You've just seen our route on the sea map, and we're starting the morning, of course, on my balcony. And as you can see, it's already quite windy, not that stormy yet. There's gonna be a bit more of storm during the day, but as you can see here at the pool, the ship was already moving a little bit and the wind was pretty strong, so the outer decks were closed. But luckily I had my balcony, so I could still head outside and enjoy this very nice winter storm weather. So here you can also see that it was quite stormy. But due to my partial metal balcony, I could still head outside, because now this type of balcony was again a big advantage, because it offers much more wind protection than a regular balcony. And as it was not too cold outside, I stayed for quite a while on my balcony. There was no wind or rain due to all this metal around me, so I could still use the balcony, at least in the morning. Later on it was not possible anymore because the wind got stronger, and then there was also coming a lot of spray up to my balcony. But in the morning I still had the chance to get some fresh air on my balcony. Here you can see the ship is already moving a little bit, not too strong, but movements were clearly feelable on the ship. And here you can also see that the wind was pretty strong, luckily mainly coming from the other side, so the side of my cabin and balcony was still quite calm. Here you can already see the spray coming up, so now it was not possible anymore to stay on the balcony for a longer time. Of course, I still went out to take a couple of pictures and videos, but here you can clearly see that it's quite wet outside, so the balcony is now not usable more for relaxation, unless you want to get very wet. And as I've already said in the last videos, in the beginning of this video, we had to cancel our stop in Cherbourg today. Even though it's not a that bad winter storm, it's a quite normal winter storm, and the ship is absolutely safe on the oceans. It's of course made for much worse weather conditions and sea conditions, so it's no problem for the ship, but it's quite dangerous to go into a port with this strong wind, so we had to cancel Cherbourg. I enjoyed a quick lunch near the pool at the Lido Grill and had a nice burger, and then I went up into the crow's nest to enjoy the view from up there. It was not too crowded, as the ship was now more and more moving, and of course the crow's nest, being right at the front and at the highest point of the ship, is the part where you feel the movements the most, so there were not too many passengers there. A lot stayed on the cabin, and most passengers used the bars and lounges located in the middle and on the lower decks of the ship, where there's less movement feelable. But for me it was okay, so I prefer to be up here to enjoy the view and have a nice cup of tea, watch the waves, the wind, and some other ships. The plan for today was to sail through the strongest part of the storm as quick as possible, and then behind the storm and calm waters turn around and then follow the storm back to Southampton. So for me it was not that much of a problem that we're not in Cherbourg today, because I anyway booked the cruise because of the ship, and so I got more time to spend on the ship, so that was actually pretty good. And it was also quite interesting to go through this storm. And now I'm gonna let you enjoy the view of the storm with a bit of music, as we're now going through the strongest part of the storm. When it got dark outside, we also got through the worst part of the storm, so now it's getting calmer again, and it was time for the gala dinner with a formal night where you have a dress code, at least in the main restaurants, which is also followed by most guests, so we have a very elegant atmosphere on board this evening. The food was also very nice, and I mentioned that before. What I really like about the British ships is, even though I'm German, I always had nice conversations at my table, and also on this cruise I had very nice people at my table, and we went after dinner all together into one of the bars, had a very nice evening, and then the next morning we were already back in Southampton, which is unfortunately already the end point of the cruise, and here I have to say goodbye to the wonderful Aurora, which immediately became one of my favorite cruise ships. After one last British breakfast, it was then time to leave the ship. I left the ship quite early and decided to take my luggage with me, not using a luggage service, and instead just take it with me directly ashore, which allows me to leave the ship a little bit earlier, as I still had a few plans for the day. This time I left the ship rather early. Usually I leave the ship at the latest time possible, but this time I had a few plans for the day, and so I'm now heading to the train station. In Southampton you have to be careful, there are different cruise terminals, and it can also happen, just like in this case, that your cruise ends at a different terminal than it started. In this case it took around 20 minutes to go to the station, so plan some time and check at which terminal your ship will dock when you make your plans for the end of the cruise. Here you can see my train arriving, which will now take me to Salisbury. There will be no video about this train ride, as later on there will be a longer video about the whole railway line and not just the part to Salisbury. From here in Salisbury we are then continuing with another train, and there will be a video about this train ride. So this is now the end of my cruise with the Aurora, but it's not the end of the trip. There will be a few more train videos and the flight video, and here you can see when the first of those videos will be uploaded. I had a fantastic time on the Aurora, and I hope to come back to this beautiful ship one day. Here you can see the name of the song, and as always I'd like to say thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video then.